The Morning Dump from Hurrdat Sports with Andrew Rogers and Damon Benning.
That is indeed true. Morning Dump, DB, Andrew Rogers.
Hi, Drew Down.
Extension of Coffee and Cream. How are you?
I'm good. I feel like
You walked
just
outside
finished.
in the blizzard right after the show.
Yeah, I had to show people that I'm a fantastic parker. Not to be
I
confused
cannot
with Peter.
believe you walked out in this storm
Yeah.
just to prove a point on Twitter.
Dude, in case you didn't know this about me, I'm pretty anal. Like, isn't it weird, too? Like, I'm cool with, 94% of things. Like, hey, do you. Mm-hmm. But there's that little 6% that I'm, very particular about, right? And parking is one of them.
Parking's one. Hey.
Yeah. I have an issue with poor parking.
In general, not just you,
because
but just in the world.
I just think it's selfish when people don't.
I told you when I was at the mall, people were over the lines like nobody's business over the weekend.
So full disclosure, I told you about the one in Benson last night during Coffee and Cream. Make sure you go back and download that. But here's the better one. So I was watching my daughter play at Millard North the other night. This is just Tuesday. And they were playing Millard West, big game. So I'm parked way in the back, kind of on the edge, closest to 144th and Pacific, so in the furthest corner. Huge, pretty truck is right in front of me because it's crowded. Obviously, it's going to be a big game rivalry. So he takes up 2 spots. And I park the spot over next to him, and so he gets out. He's like, hey, what's up? And I noticed he was wearing a Carolina snow cap. So I was like, if it wasn't for that Carolina snow cap, I would say something crazy to you, but I'm going to cut you some slack. I didn't know the guy from Adam, right?
Right.
Ryan goes, hey, he goes, DB. So I was like, ooh, thank goodness he recognized me.
Yeah.
I'm not just being a, jerk.
Uh-huh.
He goes, what's up? I go, you can't park like that.
Is that what you said?
Yeah. I said, it's crowded. And he's like, hey, man, I'm in the corner. I'm not getting any dings. He just kept it 100. He was like, so I could appreciate that, right? He's like, yeah, I'm not getting any dings. But it was a F-250 big black truck. It was nice. Not one that I could park. I probably would have done that intentionally trying to park correctly.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Trucks are hard. I had to park a U-Haul one time. Oh, man.
Yeah, there's no way.
I had to have Ashley get out.
Mary Kate and Ashley.
Boop, boop. It's like somebody on the runway waving me into the gate.
Yeah, it was classic. So we walked all the way in together. Turns out his daughter coaches at Millard West, so we were just chopping it up. No, it was great. He was cooler than a fan, but that's how it started. That's how particular I am about, because
Nothing wrong with that.
It does kind of come across as selfish, but he was so far removed. I get it. It's not like he picked a prime spot where other people had to get in, but it was going to get busy though.
Well, sometimes, I can see, sometimes you don't park well. It might
I
be
got
dark.
on you a couple of months ago. Remember when you pulled into Hurrdat?
It might be dark outside. It might be a bunch of snow on the ground. You might not see the lines.
It was 9:30 in the morning and you parked diagonal because you said nobody parks back there.
I'm just saying that
He parked in the very back row.
I know where Shane parks because there's another guy like Shane that likes to park a little
He said
diagonally.
the tree gives him shade.
Well, is that why you park diagonally? Because the way the sun rotates and so the shade stays on the tree?
Look,
I don't even know why in the hell I even talked to him.
He said, look, he was cool up until that. Shane, it's all good. Why did
important. Most of those guys think it's easy.
Anyway, Shane, continue.
A lot of the great ones don't have a whole lot of hobbies.
Oh,
let me hear
man.
it. What you got?
This is a big deal.
It is, T.O., it is.
Nobody can do that.
Shane, why do you park back there?
You don't point the finger, you point the thumb.
Get in a workout?
But that doesn't exist anymore, so why do you park back there?
What kind of question is that?
I don't know. It's one worth answering at some point, I guess.
It's flickering. Just got to stay on it.
Help me. Help me. Why do you park back there?
You're talking at headquarters?
Yeah. I like how he calls it headquarters.
That's what everybody calls it.
The big,
HQ.
It's the big building.
Oh, yeah.
It is pretty in there, though.
Well, because I would get there later than everybody. Everybody else would get there at 8, and I was getting there at 9 and working a little bit later. So by that time when I was
and then you were coming from here. You'd come here first for the setup.
Yeah, and by that time when I get to work to headquarters, everybody that's already working there is already there. So the last places left available to park is all the way in the back because nobody wants to walk. But I also, just to let you know, I also like to vape so I can get out of the vehicle and I can walk to the vehicle and have a
So
vape.
the distance allows him to vape longer.
Yes.
Listen,
There's always
I can
a reason
appreciate
for
that. There's a
everything.
method to your madness.
Yes.
It gives him time to walk and get his vape game right.
And even if I wasn't
God bless
vaping,
his enamel.
I would still like to just be outside for a little bit longer before I get into the building. It's kind of just
Because you're such a people person.
It's just kind of just like a relaxing sort of thing before I get into work.
Right?
He couldn't care less about the weather. He'll vape out there. I've seen
Do
him.
you vape in your car?
Yeah.
So why wouldn't you just park close, vape in your car, and then walk in?
I think he likes. I don't want to speak for you, but you don't seem to care much about. Even though you get cold easy, like you'll
It
go
doesn't really
vaping just
Yeah.
about. You don't really care.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Like there are sometimes I'll ask him. I'm like, it's like 10 degrees out. I'm like, is it that serious? And he goes, have you ever worked with you before?
Why is this? Why does this have to be about me today?
And I was like, it's totally on me.
Hey,
I was
Shane,
like,
we just
shoot,
love to
man.
include you, man. We're all about inclusion.
Kind of.
Stick to sports.
We draw them in.
You know what people are thinking out there?
That you're the greatest thing ever?
How in the hell are they in there? I mean, are you kidding me?
I'm sure a lot of people are thinking
I know.
that.
They're like, what these yahoos
What
doing?
are these guys doing?
Actually, you know what they're probably thinking? That's
What?
Shane.
Oh,
Oh, I thought it was going to be like something good looking.
oh, come on, Shane.
Don't put that crap on me.
No, I understand. I wouldn't do that. It's still snowing, though.
I'm just happy that I don't have to go out there and scrape my windshield.
Yeah.
Like,
You're-
think about the people that got up an hour after we did.
Total first world problems.
And I have an app on my phone that starts my car.
Yeah, I do too, but it's telling me that it's not synced correctly with my phone number, which is kind of driving your guy crazy.
Yeah.
So are you
know what I
talking?
do?
Are you talking to your phone?
You talking to a ghost?
You know what I end up doing?
What's-
I look it up. I
what's-
type on the internet, why is this problem happening?
You usually do that for me so we can
Right.
read together. I'm like, hey, can we problem solve together? I'm not.
I'm always
that-
there for you.
I'm not that smart.
Who are you always there for?
Kenny,
No. No.
Who's Kenny?
Well, yeah, maybe.
Smith, maybe this week. Jonathan?
Zach,
Wilson?
Wow. Shane. Bellinger? He's a Cub now. Dead to me. Dead to me, Shane.
Why has this got to be about me?
Are you mad? Like I'm sensing some animosity from that side of the
I'll
room.
take it.
Me too. I'll
Wasn't pretty.
Okay, so there you are. He's typing it in for those that can't see. It's
Yeah.
confirming his location.
I don't know what's going on.
So hit that arrow in the corner.
Thank you.
Sure.
Circle, circle, load, load, load. Circle, circle, load, load, load.
Let's highly anticipate seeing your lights come on.
No, I'm telling you, there's just something about it that's not going to allow it to work.
Error.
I couldn't be happy.
Remote start is not possible. Please check fuel level.
Fuel level.
See, it's so particular. Remember the last time it
So
wouldn't
it's
start?
not going to start because you're 45 till empty? 45 miles till empty?
How'd you see that? Oh.
Right there. So you can't start your car if it's under like 50 miles?
I don't know what the number is.
My car always yells
news
at
to
me. My car always yells at me at 50.
It binged at
So
at me.
maybe my car won't start under 50 because it's just going to eat gas. So it's probably
so
worried
as
about
smart
that.
as these cars are, why don't they make them better?
Unbelievable.
But yeah, you
Is dude on? He's on his game today.
he is. Well,
Man.
we kind of got him in a tizzy.
I know. You made fun of his parking.
I'll put my money on Omaha. I would.
Yeah, today for the Final Four.
Great teams cover.
That was funny. You said that the other day. I was like, he's got a point.
Good teams win. Great teams cover.
Got a point there.
Let's talk this real fast before we hop off morning dump. Because yesterday, I saw a clip of Will Levis throwing a football 50 yards and not taking a step into his throw. Big dude. Like, he is much bigger than...
Although they say only 6'3", but he is 235.
Like, wide, though. Like, he's got a lot of bulk on him. He was wearing a nice cut shirt, so I'm sure that was helping a little bit in regards to his image. But he could throw the ball. 50 yards down the field. He also had a tendency to throw the ball to the other team this year.
Yeah.
But that's beside the point. Where I'm getting at is Todd McShay released his first official mock draft of the year. And on that list were 3 quarterbacks in the top 10. And actually one that
Top 6.
Yep, top 6. And one fell at 11, Anthony Richardson out of Florida. That was his pick at number 11. But when you look at the top picks, the Houston Texans have the number 1 pick. The Lions have the 4th pick, and the Falcons have the 6th pick, based on where we're at in the season right now. And here's how we had these 3 quarterbacks structured. It was Bryce Young at 1, C.J. Stroud going at 4 to the Lions, and Will Levis going at 6. But I've also seen claims of Will Levis going above C.J. Stroud. I've even seen one mock draft that put Will Levis as the number 1 pick in the draft.
I don't get it.
What am I missing here?
Well, how is Richardson an 11th pick? Did they watch Florida's passing offense? Here's the thing that, and listen, he may be the next. I don't know. But what is it about the NFL and the draft process with quarterbacks where they always think something is going to end up being better looking than it really looks?
All the time. I'm a Bears fan. I know.
It's just weird, right? It's like it's the opposite of what I say about wedding days, right? Brides spend an inordinate amount of time looking like somebody that you didn't fall in love with. And I never understood it. I just embraced it because I was like, hey, it's their day. It's about them. Knock yourself out. But I still don't understand to this day, right? It's like Frozen, man. I let it go.
Nice.
It's the opposite, though, with quarterbacks. Typically, unless you're Josh Allen, and maybe Will Levis will be the next Josh Allen.
Which is what he's being compared to right now.
Typically, you are what you are. And all of a sudden, like Levis is a guy that's, because he didn't have, the wide receiving core that some thought he should, or the style of offense didn't lend itself to not throwing it to the other team. But I don't know. Like, is C.J. Stroud not good? Because here's a news flash. There's good players at Ohio State. There's good players in the NFL, and he'll be playing with other good players when he gets drafted. So how did Young jump Stroud? How did Levis potentially jump Stroud?
The reason I think Bryce Young would be the number 1 pick is solely based
The Bama
on
quarterback lineage?
No, I'm thinking more just on his overall vision. Like, he can create more plays when things go sideways.
Yeah, but he's not a
than
runner.
C.J. Stroud. Well, Bryce Young can scramble, though. He can get out. Like, Patrick Mahomes isn't a runner, but he can scramble and get out. He kind of has that same mental capacity of Patrick Mahomes. When I look at how he sees the field, it reminds me of Mahomes. Now, that doesn't mean he is Patrick Mahomes, but just based on his vision, that's what I gauge. And I think that's why he has the leg up over Stroud.
See, I think it's more about his ability to process.
Well, it could be a combination of the two. Like, that could lead into the other.
I mean, sure, but you don't get to improv as much in the NFL unless a few can. Herbert, pretty good. Mahomes, pretty good off script. Allen, pretty good off script. But for the most part, it's a rhythm kind of league.
Like, Kyler last year was good off script, not this year.
No, because people stay attached. It's like three-point shooters on the arc when you get dribble drive penetration. Good coaches will say, hey, listen, if it's a good three-point shooting team, stay attached. You're going to get compromised a little bit with the dribble drive penetration. Stay attached to shooters. That's what I think the teams in the NFL did to Kyler Murray. Stay attached to wide receivers. And without D-Hop early, they really struggled because Marquise Brown was hurt. And so I think he was hurt. Tight end game was a little sketch with guys staying healthy. So the improv wasn't quite there. So there are some extenuating circumstances. But overall, I do agree with you that I don't think you can make a living being off script in the NFL.
Yeah.
I don't.
No.
But I do think
you hit the nail on the head there. You just can't.
I do give a slight nod to Young over Stroud in terms of it seems like ability to process. Because Stroud gets to throw to a lot of wide open guys. So I do like Young's processing.
And I think we learned about a lot
and
about
his
Bryce
offensive
Young
line
this year.
wasn't that good.
I think we learned a lot about what he can be because they weren't that great this year.
Yeah. Well, relative to they're their own
norm.
benchmark. Yeah.
Right.
They're their
relative
own
to the
barometer.
norm.
Yeah, I'm with you.
But
I'm with you.
When I analyze Will Levis, and he gets the comparison to Josh Allen, and I didn't look this up until now, but Josh Allen and him had similar touchdown to interception ratio. Like Allen had a lot more touchdowns in his junior season, sophomore season, than he did.
Except against Power 5 opponents, but we're not making that distinction.
Right.
Just generally speaking, I think you're right.
Right. And then I look at Josh Allen's junior season, and correct me if I'm wrong, but did he get hurt? Because he only
was dinged, yeah.
He only had 1,800 passing yards
dinged.
that year. But he also had a touchdown to interception ratio that looked like 16-6. But we've seen his interception issues this year in the NFL.
What's Levis, 17-8?
Oh, it's worse than that. 19-10.
Oh, okay.
Oh, I guess not worse.
It's
but
about the same, yeah.
Yeah.
19, that's a lot.
10 picks?
Yeah.
Opposed to 19 touch. He only has 2,400 yards
No, I
this year.
I understand.
And I'm looking at a guy that can throw the ball 50 yards down the field, and he may not have had the weapons, as we talked about, but if you can throw the ball that far down the field, you can't tell me there's not one receiver on your team that can be a deep threat.
Let me ask you something. Would you so if you were on the stand and you're the prosecutor and you've got to sway the jury, right? Are you trying to make a case for Will Levis or Anthony Richardson?
I'd make the case more for Anthony Richardson to go above Will Levis.
Oh, my gosh. Did you see that passing offense? They went multiple games without a passing. How did we get to this point with Anthony Richardson? And maybe he's going to be a star. I don't know.
The reason for my claim there is because of his dynamicness to his game, his dual threat ability. People talk about Will Levis having dual threat ability, and I haven't seen him run enough to have a dual threat ability. When I look at Anthony Richardson, he can make a ton of plays, not only with his arm, but with his legs, and Florida should have been a better team than they were this year, but they just weren't.
He's the 17-9 guy.
You look
17 touchdowns, 9 picks, 2,600 yards.
But you look at how the NFL is today, and what quarterbacks benefit most in the NFL. Are they the pocket passers, or are they the ones that are dual threat?
Everybody except Tom Brady. That's basically who's
like you look at
Rodgers.
Why do the Bears have success? Because Justin
Rodgers
Fields
mobile, Brady
uses his legs.
Brady not. Fields mobile.
Herbert's mobile.
Herbert mobile. Mahomes mobile. Burrow mobile enough.
And maybe that's Will Levis. Maybe I'm not giving him enough credit, but when I look at a guy like Anthony Richardson over Levis,
I still think accuracy and ball placement matter.
It does, 100%. You have to put the ball on the mark.
Now, Richardson has great size at 6'4", 230. I'll be curious to see what he measures at the combines, but he's going to be a top 15 pick. Is there a team that you think fits that skill set? I mean, is it going to be Baltimore right around there? I mean, are they going to go back to the well? What are you going to do with Lamar Jackson? He's hurt again.
You know, we're in a weird spot because we talked about this before, and I think it's different with quarterbacks than it is with other positions.
If I'm Tennessee, I go back to the quarterback draft.
Oh, 100%. 100%.
You know,
but when I look at this, we're in a world to where you don't want to sign a player long term. You don't want to give them the big contract. You want to get that next man up mentality.
No, we leave that. We leave that to baseball.
Right. But in this area, when you talk about the quarterback position, if you have somebody that works, you hold on to that. I know Lamar's hurt again, but you hold on to Lamar. You have to find a way to pay that guy. I can't believe that he hasn't gotten a paycheck yet. But will I be surprised if they move on from him? Completely. But will I cry about it? Like, no, they may know more than me. They may get sick and tired of, all of the injury issues and are like, I want somebody that's a little more fresh, a little more upbeat. You look at teams that need quarterbacks, though. The only team that high that needs a quarterback, I would say, is Indianapolis at 7. They're going to need a quarterback. Sam Ehlinger is not cutting it.
So you're thinking you got Atlanta, you have Indy, everybody's dead set on Detroit drafting a quarterback, even though
they could pass.
Jared Goff's got an 80-some QBR.
They could pass.
And he's 22 to 7 touchdowns and interceptions.
I look too at the Falcons. Like, why draft Ritter in the 3rd round and not even look at him and then draft a quarterback?
Because
in the
I
first
don't
round?
think quarterbacks that go that late, teams are considering franchise guys.
No.
So it doesn't hurt them to take another one.
You hit that
right?
right away. But you also look at what the Packers did drafting Love in the 1st round, trading up to draft Love, looking toward the future.
I still think he's
and then
going to be
sign Aaron Rodgers
I think he's going to be on the move.
$50 million deal.
Love's going to be on the move, I'm guessing.
You would have to think. But what a waste of roster space he was.
Yeah, well, when you could have had another receiver maybe.
It's just it is weird how
defensively the Packers are in a good spot. So hard to me to they're probably not the ideal arguing point just because I think the Packers have done a pretty good job and they won 39 regular season games in 3 years. So Grudegoose, I mean, I guess you could nitpick, but they have drafted extremely well.
How would you compare Anthony Richardson to somebody in the NFL today? Would you call him Deshaun Watson?
No.
Okay.
Didn't win enough. Mm-hmm. Deshaun Watson's a winner.
Mm-hmm.
I do like the physical comparison, though.
Right. Strong arm, versatile.
Bigger, though, a little bit bigger,
Yeah.
right? What's Deshaun Watson's actual size? Because I do think Richardson's every bit of 6'4", 235,
Right.
230.
Deshaun Watson is 6'2", and he weighs 215.
Yeah, because he comes across much more slight than Richardson.
Mm-hmm.
So, but maybe Deshaun Watson was so accurate though. He just made plays. Gosh, a Richardson comp? Boy, that's tough. I just don't want him to be another Kaiser.
I know what you're saying.
Like those athletic
Which he
guys with
easily
big
could
arms.
be.
He's a better athlete than
That's it. It's
than
mobility
Hundley
for me.
that came out of UCLA.
Brett.
But the mechanics kind of are similar in my head. I'm thinking of, I don't know, like an Anthony Richardson.
Do you have to be?
He's a big, fast guy.
Do you have to be a winner to be successful in the NFL, though?
See, I actually think that's important.
So
I think it's very understated.
Right.
Although, and they haven't won anything yet, so maybe I'll reserve judgment because they've won a lot of regular season games. Although it didn't matter for Josh Allen.
Mm-hmm.
I do think there's something to being a winner. Look at Trevor Lawrence's ability to endure. We were almost last year. We were like, God, is this league for Lawrence?
I called him a bust this year.
Did they
going
miss?
into this year?
Yeah, and he's starting to really put it together.
He's had his good games. He's had his bad games.
No, he's become kind of
but
captain.
it also
get us
goes back
in
to
the
coaching,
game.
right?
Yeah.
Doug Peterson being there, it makes all the difference.
That's
in the world
why I'm
for
a
that
quarterback
guy.
OC guy.
Yeah.
Like,
Which is why
I think
when
it
I
matters.
talked through my point, I couldn't agree more.
That's why I'm interested to see who hires Frank Reich. Somebody has to go get Frank Reich and let him just work with quarterbacks.
I couldn't believe they let him go. I could not believe that they just said, see ya. Like this guy should have been picked up tomorrow by multiple teams.
And maybe he just wants to take some time to work, but they're only at Listen, I'm going to say this out loud, and you're going to be like, "What?" I just got through bashing Sam Ehlinger. How many games out are the Colts right now?
Plenty.
1. They are 1 game out of first place in the South.
No. Well, I guess what are the Titans? 7 and
7 and 6.
7 and 6.
Yeah. Jacksonville's 5 and 8.
They are 1 game.
Well,
out.
it's going to be 2 in the win-loss column, but you're right there because you have the head-to-heads.
Which is crazy that they could still mathematically find a way in.
Oh yeah, like they're in essence 2 games out with the schedule that they have to play. They have 4 wins right now, and they've got Minnesota, Los Angeles, the Jets, Houston, Buffalo, Detroit, and Tampa. That's who's left on the schedule. They're not out of it.
No.
That's a tough schedule, though. Yeah, I think at Minnesota, loss. Chargers at home, loss. At New York, toss-up. Against Houston at home, win. At Buffalo, loss. Detroit at home, toss-up. Tampa Bay at home. Well, no, that's not the schedule. I'm tripping. Minnesota, Chargers, New York, Houston. That's the schedule. Could you go 2-2?
You could.
You got to win 3 and hope that.
Look, the Colts defense is good.
And you have to win 3. It's out. It's over because Tennessee's not going to tank, are they?
No. Tennessee will find a way to get there. They always beat the teams.
They're at the
that
Chargers. They're not winning.
You say that, and then all of a sudden they end up winning that game, and then you look back and they're like, how did you lose to the Jags? That's the Titans every year.
They need one of the next 4 for sure. And they have the Chargers, the Texans, which may be the one because it's at home.
Mm-hmm.
But then you have Dallas and Jackson.
You're not beating Dallas.
And you're at Jacksonville.
I think you get Jacksonville.
So they only have to win 1 to
time
get to
around.
8.
Yeah. Oh.
8's the number in that division?
Yeah. They'll beat Houston.
Wow, really?
Yeah.
Did you see how Houston played Dallas? Although Houston does play Dallas tough.
Yeah, we're going to talk about this game, and then we'll see Dallas end up beating the Eagles at the end of the year, and then everybody's going to be like, "Oh my gosh, how's that going to shake out?"
I take that back. I'm totally going to swallow that. Colts can't make that up because they don't have any head-to-heads. It would have been interesting though.
Well, to see Saturday get to
because they're playing better,
and they're playing on Saturday.
Yeah, is that a triple header?
Yeah, it is. It kicks off with. Oh, man, I know the games. Because the Ravens play in the middle slate. The Colts play somebody. Because I like Pittman in that matchup to score a touchdown.
Yeah, so it's Colts-Vikings to kick it off. Then it's Ravens-Browns. Then the doozy of Dolphins and Bills.
Yeah, Dolphins-Bills. And what's up with Tua? So
cause for concern. But, remember how I ranked them. I said, in the AFC, I took the Chiefs, then the Bills, then the Dolphins, then the Bengals. Mm-hmm. So I feel pretty good about that because my dark horse was the Chargers. I still think I have a chance. But I wasn't all in on the Dolphins Kool-Aid. I still like the Bills slightly ahead.
I mean, their passing attack's best in the league.
And I know. But I still think the Chiefs are the best team in the AFC.
I do, too.
Do they have to at some point beat the Bengals, though?
Yeah. Yeah, they do. But here's what happens all the time, though. The Titans make the playoffs. The Titans could be plus 255 to beat the Chiefs and then do it. Like,
just run the ball.
They're a playoff team.
Yeah.
And, like, their defense also shows out in the playoffs.
They're in disarray, though. You fire your general manager, and you see the backstories now of why they had to make the move and whatever. But are they just like all of a sudden going to rally at the quarterback spot? And how are they going to get more dynamic outside the numbers? I just don't like their offensive roster.
You know, Treylon Burks, I was hoping to be better this season. Now, he's been hurt, but I haven't seen enough from him right away. Like when AJ entered the league, he was making a name for himself from the start. It wasn't like, hey, we're talking about this guy being a top 10 wide receiver, but he was still making plays, catching balls, getting yards, finding the end zone. That's what they thought Treylon Burks was. They thought he was a recreation of A.J. Brown, and he hasn't been.
And Woods has been dinged.
Yeah, and, Woods had some really good seasons in Buffalo and in L.A.
It's like
Westbrook Akine is not somebody that I get excited about.
I just don't love their skill.
Treylon Burks hopefully will bounce back and have a better year 2 than he is year 1.
Questionable going into this week, too.
You can do anything you want when you have Derrick Henry. You can do anything you want.
Well, King Henry has kind of been there was a Monarch reference in there, but I didn't think enough people were watching The Crown for me to get it or for them to get it. But the King hasn't been the guy as of late. So a lot of pressure on him, though.
A lot of pressure on a lot of decision-making
as
time winds down. Now, tomorrow you can catch us on Coffee and Cream Friday morning. A guest-heavy show, but a lot of high school talk in there.
Just 3.
Yeah, it's still in a 6-hour or in a 6-time slot.
Show?
Yeah, show.
By the way, when do you
Hey,
see?
we better get more hours. What do you think?
Yeah,
should we get more hours?
I think we should ask around.
Ask around, probably try to get it.
When do you cease being the king?
When you lose your crown.
I'm just wondering. I'm just throwing it out there.
It's just food for thought, or
Just food for thought. I mean, when
Derrick
does
Henry gets tired of not making Super Bowls?
yeah.
Do you think he'd go somewhere else to make a Super Bowl?
I don't know. I don't think the market value for him with the tread on those tires would be super high, so it would have to be. He'd obviously take a pay cut, and it would be to win.
Mm-hmm. He'll end up on the Chiefs.
God, would they even use him right?
No, but that's what I'm saying. Like, that's where running backs go to die.
I mean, when is LeBron James not the king? I mean,
Not yet. He's still that guy.
he's still that guy.
He
Okay.
also has a brand to back him up.
Okay.
Yeah, he's still that guy.
Yeah.
So you can still roll with it if you have the brand and you're
Yep.
playing, but even though you're not,
Yep.
What
I'm
you
like that
were-
guy from Storage Wars. Yep. Dave Hester.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I don't want to talk about that.
Hey,
he's still making appearances
so we're gonna-
on the show.
Who is?
Frost.
Oh, yeah.
Might have exaggerated puking a little bit.
Just a little.
Yeah, just a little.
No,
Stop,
we
Shade.
got a really tight team.
Yeah, I think it's good. Not really.
How many guardrails do you think he's been sliding down
I
lately?
had a good time last night.
Was he talking about at Guinness?
We've had more conversations than I can remember.
Wow. Shane.
A lot got made out of that. We got to get this turned around.
Yeah, I
So
think.
that's a really tight unit right now. I think this is going to be an unbelievable experience. It was just one of those days, so I'm really happy with where that sits. No, absolutely not.
I may have to go get myself a Frosty from Wendy's after
Yeah.
this. Just
But it
because
is-
I'm hyped up now.
It is cold out, too, so, it may make you think of it. Wowzer, Shano.
Hey, tomorrow, as I said, we'll talk a little high school action. We'll talk about the weekend slate of games. We'll talk bowl games.
Which puts a smile on my face to say,
And if we have time, I'm going to try to squeeze in trivia with DB.
it's been really good to us.
Love trivia.
Yeah, I'm going to try to squeeze that in if we find time. But that being said, that's it for Morning Dump this morning. Let us know what you think about the top quarterbacks in the NFL draft and if they are in the right position. And tell me I'm wrong. If you like Will Levis and you think Will Levis is the next Josh Allen, I'll listen. I'll listen.
He's very malleable, folks. He's like putty. Work with him.
And then if you still like all the Scott Frost drops, you can hit up Shane.
Indies are tough.
Follow DB on Twitter at Damon Benning. I'm at Andrew Rogers TV.
what are indies?
Individuals.
Their indies are tough.
Not defensive ends or
Endies or Indies?
Their indies are tough.
He's talking about like indigo girls. No, it's actually individuals. Their individuals are tough. He's
Okay.
talking about position groups. Jiminy Christmas, Shana.
Let's finish this thing up. Get Coffee and Cream wherever you get
Black it out.
your podcasts. That's Apple, Spotify. Type in Hail Varsity Radio. You can find it there. You can find Morning Dump, Benning Bites, and Sports Six Pack at Hurrdat Sports. Also wherever you get your podcasts. With that, let's call it, huh?
Yeah, let's call it a day.
We'll see you tomorrow.